Your home is about to be put under the microscope. In this video, we're going to cover what sellers should expect to go through during the inspection process. We're going to set a few expectations. We're going to talk to you about what home inspectors look for, and then we're going to talk about the best ways we can negotiate, because let's just face it, we all know what's coming after this inspection. They're going to ask for something. So how do you prepare yourself beforehand so ultimately you have less ask coming your way and setting yourself up for success at the negotiating table? So on inspection day, you're gonna leave your house probably for a period of maybe 2 to 4 hours. That's about the average inspection time that we see in most homes here in Houston. The inspector will arrive on site, they'll go through the entire house, and then usually they're gonna call the buyer and maybe the buyer's agent to come to the house there and meet the inspectors so they can see what's in his report that he's drafting and he's writing, and what he can show them physically in that house. It just helps buyers to have a better understanding of the severity, the risks, because inspectors usually have a very lengthy report. And let's just face it, the buyer paid that inspector to go find something. I guarantee you they will find something in your house. Most of the things that show up on an inspector report that surprise a seller are either A, things that they just kind of knew, but they've been living there for many, many years and forgot. For example, that light switch doesn't work, or that outlet doesn't work, and they just dealt with it for many years and didn't get it fixed. Or B, they just didn't know about it. Maybe it's a leak in the attic and there was no signs of it. It's a very small leak, but yet it's there. At the end of the day, the inspector is gonna go and walk through details of all the bones and the living conditions of the house. They're gonna be looking at structural. These are things like your flooring, your walls, so on and so forth, your siding on the house. They're gonna be looking at electrical, things like what types of outlets are used, are they GFCI in the proper places, are they far enough away from water sources, that kind of stuff. They're gonna be looking at plumbing. So, hey, are there any water leaks? Is the water heater in good condition? Is everything working with proper water pressure all throughout the house? They're gonna be looking at your HVAC system, making sure that the air is actually evenly distributing. All the rooms are getting either AC or heat in different places. They're looking at the coils to see if they're cleaned and if the AC in and the outside of the compressor is all working as it's supposed to be working. And last of all, they're gonna test all of your appliances. This is your dishwasher, your microwave, your stove, so on and so forth, making sure that they are all functioning as they are intended to function, that there's no defects in those products. Keep in mind that the inspector is going to be looking at, does it function? And does it have integrity? These are things like your structure, so on and so forth. They want to make sure the foundations are secure. And those are the things that they're going to be looking for and taking notes on. They'll often say, hey, I saw something, but you should look at this with a professional contractor that specializes in something like foundations, because inspectors are not necessarily specialists in a key area. They just know how to spot different things, notate it, and inform them that they should have a professional look at it. So just because it shows up on an inspection report, just because it's stated there, doesn't necessarily mean there's an issue. It means that we should take a look at it with a professional and have that evaluated to see if it really needs to be fixed or not. The inspector's main goal is to help the buyer make an informed decision on A, am I gonna have a lot of repairs and cost to this, and am I gonna be safe living in this house, making sure that they avoid things like mold or other health issues with pests. So what are some of the tips for sellers to prepare for that inspection day? One, you wanna make sure that you're gathering any kind of information of work that you did to the house recently. If you've replaced a roof, replaced an AC, so on and so forth, it's good to have some documentation sitting right there on the counter for that inspector to see, hey, don't dock me on these are brand new, right? It also is gonna help the buyer have a sense of comfort when they come by later and take a look at things to see, hey, these things are new and they're taken care of. Maybe there's a warranty in here. All of that information, gather it together and get it ready. Number two is clear the spaces and access to different things. You might have a lot of just life things in front of things like water heaters or electrical panels. These are things the inspector is gonna need to access. And if he has to move all these things, it can slow down or impede the process of him getting his job done and getting this inspection done with. And of course, the last thing to prepare is to make sure that if you have a pet, you either take the pet with you so they're out of the house, or secure the pet so they're not running around and don't accidentally jet out the door as the buyer walks in. Let's just face it, the inspection process is kind of an emotionally intense time for sellers. It's kind of an us versus them moment where sellers are like, hey, they're coming to get us and we're gonna hold our ground. We gotta hold as hard as we can, right? And one of the secret weapons that we really used during the inspection process, during the negotiation process, is the seller's disclosure. And the seller's disclosure we asked to have filled out prior to even listing the property, simply because it's an extremely powerful tool at this point during the time. We've gotten that inspection report. There's gonna be a few negative things on here, so let's talk about it with the seller's disclosure. There's two reasons we ask our clients to fill out, of course, that seller's disclosure. Number one is strictly liability. If you don't disclose something and later it becomes known that you knew about a damaged property condition in your home, then you could be legally liable for that damage or the effects of that damage. We don't want that. Make sure you just disclose it and have it known and in black and white on paper, and they're gonna sign that acknowledging that they saw that you disclosed this. And in Texas, almost all of the contracts are sold in as-is condition. The first buy comes with a, hey, we're gonna buy this home in as-is condition. And because they signed already your seller's disclosure, that sets you up great for negotiations. For example, if you disclosed on there that you already knew that there was, I don't know, rust in your HVAC pan upstairs, and they already acknowledged that, they can't come back to you afterwards with the inspection report saying, hey, we want you to replace the pan on the HVAC. Keep in mind too that if they have an as-is condition purchase, their as-is condition purchase is in the as-is condition of what they knew and understood at the time of purchase. If there's something there that they come up with during the inspection time that was unknown to them, they may want to back out or renegotiate. And that's up to you ultimately on whether you're ready to go forward with what they're offering or not. Now there's two more tips I want to give you for the inspection period and the negotiation that often follows that inspection period. Number one is we don't have to give in to every request all the time. Sometimes the inspection report's going to come back with a bunch of things and you get some ridiculous requests like, hey, you need to fix everything. Well, some of these things are code from 2025, which is this year, and maybe this house is a 1960 house. Those are not the same houses. They can't be held to the same code that we have today when they're built in 1960. So let's look at these and work together with the agents to make sure that we have an equal understanding of what is a real risk and what is not, what needs to be addressed and what does not need to be addressed. And believe me, you have us on your side, we'll negotiate for you. The second thing we see very regularly is a buyer's agent comes to us and says, oh, well, this electrical panel is really old, so we're gonna need $20,000 off the property because it's a fire hazard and it's really, really bad shape, right? So although it is old, although it may be a risk, $20,000 is really an enormous amount of money to give for this, right? So what we recommend you do is if something comes up in an inspection report that we don't know the cost and we don't have really a good understanding of it, is we get one or two contractors to come out and give us an estimate. It's an estimate. You don't have to pull the trigger and actually pay for the work yet. It's just an estimate to understand how much would it cost to fix it, what are the options we have to fix it, and rectify the situation. We see this frequently with things like roofs, AC, so on and so forth, and having the entire roof replaced or the entire AC system replaced really isn't needed. Oftentimes, it could just be a little $200, $300 piece that needs to be added to the roof or to the AC that ultimately fixes a leak or gets it working like it should be. Remember, the inspector is just there to spot problems. They're not there to tell you how much it's going to cost. They're not going to tell you if it's really something that needs to be fixed or not, or how to fix it. Just spot problems. So we're going to use our network of contractors to come out and get estimates on some things. And as a listing agent, I'm going to ask you or suggest maybe that one or two people come out and look at some things. When we do that, it's because, hey, we're going to come back to their $20,000 estimate and say, well, actually, the issue that would cost is really only $200 or $5,000 to fix. We have a contractor that's willing to do it. And then you as the seller need to decide, are you willing to do it before the close or only after? And then we can negotiate on the work and how that gets done to come to a way forward. Although the inspection period may seem like a very intense period, there is a process to it, there is a method to the madness, and we are very used to working with sellers just like you to walk you through that process and help you negotiate to put your best foot forward. We'll see you at the closing table.